before. So this is the inner HTML. But now we're dealing with a new element, which is inner text, or not element, a new aspect of JavaScript called inner text, and it is super useful. It's one of the more fun things that you can do in JavaScript, in my opinion, is you can dynamically change the text of an HTML page. So here I'm going to click the button and it's going to write some text to my page. So you could take a web page and you could put an element on it and have the user interact with it somehow, and it'll make a whole new bunch of information appear for them, which is great. Okay, so let's break this down. We can take the information away. All right. So we just have this button up here. When we click it, it runs a function. And the button has an ID. So we're going to use that ID to pass something around into something else. Below that button, we have a paragraph with an ID. So we can tell already that we're going to use that to get some information. And then below that, we have the empty paragraph that we've been using since the beginning of class to pass information into. Great. And we have our script tag. We declare our function. And then we're saying there's going to be a variable. It's called x. We could call it, z, for example. If we set this action to z as well, then the behavior will remain the same. So the name of the element or of the variable doesn't matter. It just matters that it's consistently used as we use it. So we could even call it Zola. It'll still do the same work. And we're saying set Zola. So whatever this is, we're going to pass it. This is kind of like doing functions in algebra class, right? We're the thing on the other side of the equal sign. The formula that you have to solve is what the variable is going to be set to at the end. I don't remember algebra so well anymore, but I think that's how it went. All right, so we're going to look at the entire document. We're going to get the first element with the ID, IO. I named it that earlier. And we're going to get its inner text. So that's the text that's inside of it. So we're not getting its all of its information, but just the text part. That's why this is inner text. And that's it. We're just going to set Zola to that. And then we're going to go through the document again, get the element that has the ID of demo, and we're going to look at the inner HTML, so the space between the brackets, and set it to Zola that we defined up here. So why are these two things different? In JavaScript, if you want to get the text, like the written stuff, that's inside of the brackets specifically, you have to say inner text. It won't give you that information if we change this to inner HTML. Oh, what? It did. Okay, it doesn't always give it to you. I've wrestled with this a bunch of times. And you can see the difference here. I think I know why I've wrestled with it now. So you can see when I run it with the inner text definition, the note is not in bold as it is up here, because this HTML that's inside of the element is ignored because I asked for inner text, right? I didn't ask for inner HTML. If I change this to inner HTML, then it's in bold. So it's getting all that stuff. But the problems I've had with using inner HTML before is that sometimes that HTML will conflict with your code. Like that HTML is transforming something itself. Like it might have a function inside of it that's doing something, or like there's some CSS, like there's something that conflicts, and then I wouldn't be able to get it to show up. So I would just say like ignore the other code that might be in there and just give me the text. So that's what this is saying. And then here it's saying ignore anything that might be in there. Just whatever is inside those brackets, set it to Zola. So that's the passing back and forth of HTML into itself. Okay. And let's comment it out as well. So we might change this function name again into something that makes more sense. So like replace text. And you can see I'm just like double clicking and copying and then pasting here. That's something that I do to avoid misspelling, especially if it's something long. Like if I end up having a long name, I might just copy and paste it to avoid typos. Okay, so we're making our button, and then we're making an HTML element that holds some information to be moved later. And then our element that will display the information on button click. Yes. And then here we declare the function. Declare an element and set it to the inner text of, declare a variable, sorry. We declare a variable and set it to the inner text of the element with ID AO. And then we find the element with ID demo and set its inner HTML to the information stored in Zola.